Hello, my name is Angelica.
Hi, my name is Fredy Martinez.
And I am the founder of Ashes to Life.
I'm the Vice President of Ashes to Life, and I'm also the husband of Angelica, who happens to be the founder of Ashes to Life.
When we launched Ashes to Life, it was amazing to see many people believe in our vision, even though at that time we didn't have results, but we share our vision, our mission, what we do, what we believe, our values, and it was just amazing to see other people believing in what we do. I do believe that education and the gospel have the power to transform lives, to transform communities, and to transform everyone around the vision and the mission. Even though at the moment, we only have one mission trip once a year, there is a lot of preparation. And every day we're thinking, we're planning, we are preparing so we can be ready for the mission trip. There is fundraising and just daily office tasks that needs to be done that most people don't know that we have to do all of that so we can keep operating Ashes to Life. The people on my team are amazing. I don't think I could be here. I don't think Ashes to Life would be where it is right now if it weren't for the team and for the people that I have around me.
So I think the energy that we all kind of bring to Ashes to Life is a very professional mindset, a very driven mindset. We all want to do everything in excellence, but we're also really good friends with each other. So there's also that genuine connection where we kind of support each other through hard times, through difficult decisions, while still maintaining professionalism.
Because these are the people that I go to for advice, for prayer, for support, and they're just amazing. They are professionals. They are people who are driven by love and driven by purpose, and that's what helps me, and that's what keeps Ashes to Life going. Thinking about my own story, thinking about how my life was transformed through the power of education and the gospel made me realize there is more students, there is more people in my village who needs to experience this same transformation that I experienced.
A lot of people are very humble, very genuine people that we help. That just makes me want to serve more and do more for them, since we are in that position to help as well. Something that has kind of surprised me is also their openness and their willingness to hear and listen to the gospel. I've been to Honduras multiple times, and I feel like every time I go, just people are always excited to hear about Christ and also just to pour into each other as well.
This organization started in 2022 as an idea. I had this idea to do it because I had experienced what education can do in my life, in the life of my family. And that idea became a plan, and that plan became steps of action. And that's how we started taking the steps to start these, finding the right people to join the team, researching what it means to have a nonprofit, and just be sure what we wanted our mission and vision to be. Those were the first steps that we took. We want people to know that we are driven by love, we are driven by the power of the gospel, and we are driven by education. Ashes to Life, that's who we are. We truly are driven. We're professionals. Our hearts are into this. Our hearts, our time, our talents are into Ashes to Life.
Y primero que todo quiero presentar a Carrie, que venga aquí. Ha preparado las mochilas con tanto amor, con tanto esfuerzo. Gracias, Carrie, por estar acá. Y a Kyrie, I know you're busy, but we'd like to honor you. We'd like to thank you for being here in Honduras and to participate to be a blessing for our country. So, este es el equipo, niños. Así que un aplauso para ellos. Gracias, gracias.
So I grew up in a poor rural village, no resources in Honduras. This village at that time had no electricity, no clean water, and this is where I grew up, in a very poor house too. And this was my home. My mom had me and my sister, and my dad passed away when I had just turned 5 years old. Then my mom had two more girls, but that relationship ended and she was left as a single mom of four little girls. And that was my home. My mom was my everything. She provided for us in the best way that she could. She's a hardworking mom, and she gave us what she could afford. And that was my childhood. Just I grew up with very little, but I was a happy child because I had my mom and my sisters and my grandparents and my family there with me. In a village, you truly experience what community is because you relied in everyone in the village so you can stay alive because there is no resources, just a human resource. That's your main resource. And I love school. School was my happy place, and I love to learn, to read the very few textbooks that we had. That was the way that I experienced the outside world, was through reading and knowing that there was like a world out there. I was a good student. I was good with my teachers and that learning. I always wanted to learn. When my dad passed away, it was very hard. I was about to graduate from sixth grade. In Honduras, graduating from sixth grade is a big deal, especially in the villages, because there is not a lot of schools, not resources. That is like the best resource you can have when you are poor. So it was time for me to graduate from sixth grade, and I knew my dreams of education were coming to an end because there was no other resources in the village, and my family couldn't afford sending me to the high school that was in the closest town, because that would mean that I had to walk more than an hour a day so I could go to the high school. That was just not an option in my family. As someone who loves education and loved learning, it was really hard to know that my education was coming to an end. But God always had a plan. For my sixth grade graduation, I invited my mom's, at the time, my mom's boss to the graduation just to join us. His name is Ruben Sorto. He came to my graduation. He supported me. He talked to the teachers, and a few weeks, probably months after the graduation, he came back to the village and talked to my mom and presented my mom the option of sending me to another state in Honduras, to a Christian bilingual school, so I could learn English and I could have my life transformed through education. It was very hard for my mom to make my decision. At that time, I was 11, 12 years old. If you're a parent, just to think to send your daughter when she's that young, it is really hard to let your children go. But my mom herself, she believes in education even though she wasn't educated because she didn't have the opportunity. So she said yes, and my sister was able to come with me because my sister and I were just 1 year apart and we're very close. We're very close, so it was nice to know that my sister was going to be there with me. And so we took this adventure together. We moved to another state. It was 8 hours away from my home village. And I could see my mom for a few times a year, but we kept doing it. My sister and I, we just kept going. My mom and I, we just kept going because we knew, like we wanted to be educated. We wanted something different for our lives. We wanted something different for our family. And we just took the adventure. It was time for me to graduate from high school, something that seemed impossible to do. It was amazing as I remembered. I was about to graduate from high school and I wanted to go to college. I wanted to keep educating myself. And at that time, the only option was maybe finding me a job in Honduras that could pay for my education, and that was a possibility. But I also had people speak life into me, and they told me, you can do more. Apply to scholarships outside the country. Apply. You can do it. And so I did. I applied, and many doors were closed. But one door got open, one door, and it was a full scholarship with everything paid for me to come to the United States. And that's how I came to the United States in 2016. And I came to college here. I graduated in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in business administration and management.
I met Angelica, my wife, in college. We met in 2018, and we dated for a few years. Once we graduated, I really didn't want her to leave back to Honduras, and she was only in a scholarship where she's only allowed to be here during school.
I was a senior in high school, and I had to do community work in order to graduate from high school. And I was teaching English in a very rural school in a village too in Honduras. And the kids were amazing. They were learning. And then I noticed that they stopped showing up for school. And I asked the teachers what's going on, why aren't they coming to school? And she said, this is very common around this time because the students drop school because they have to go work in the coffee fields because it is coffee season, and that's how they can make money to buy the school supplies for next year, and also that's how they support for their families. And I'm talking about kids who were 8, 10, 12 years old. And that really resonated with me and with my story. It made me think of who I am, where I come from, and that's where I clearly heard God talking to me and telling me, I will use you to provide for these students. And at the time of that, it's impossible. Like, I don't have the resources to do it. I can't do it. I'm just thinking about going to college. But that was the initial thought, and it started because God called me to do it. And then I forgot about that thought in college. I was not really thinking about it. In 2020, after I graduated, and when I saw the impact of a pandemic and how the world stopped, it really made me think what I wanted to do with my life. And that's when I started revisiting in my mind what God had told me back then. And I said, I think I can do it, or I'll give it a chance. And I just talked to my family about it. But first I talked to my husband and told him what I was thinking about, and he supported me since day one.
We still had some kind of tough times there because we were fresh out of college. We didn't really have any income or anything like that. And it was right in the middle of COVID. So everything was kind of up in the air. But we just knew that we were married and we were going to go ahead and keep going forward, So, and then a year later, she comes back and, starts telling me about the organization, something that she had in her heart that God has always, been speaking to her about. And, when she told me about it, I was like, okay, this is interesting. It sounds big. But we're not sure how we're going to get there. So I was like, I'm just going to support you. I don't know what this means at the moment, but I did tell her, hey, let's go talk to our pastor, our preacher Eric. And again, I didn't have any answer for her at the moment. But once we had that meeting with preacher, came in with a folder, just had the mission on it, what we wanted to do, and the name Ashes to Life. As soon as he heard it, she poured out her heart and her vision and everything. Immediately he was like, let's get a logo. And I thought I think that was that extra spark and that extra push that she needed to get this thing moving forward. Again, we didn't have a lot of income coming in. So we weren't sure what we were going to do in that aspect, keeping a full-time job, and, maintaining an organization. What are the steps, what the steps are to take, to make it legal, to, bring it to life, basically. But with that, another challenge was finding the correct people to kind of fill in and be a part of it. We really wanted it to be more intentional because in order to start a nonprofit, you had to have board members. And yeah, we could have easily said, let's just get just random people, start the organization just to start it. But I feel like it had to be more than that. It had to be really well thought out, intentional, and just have the right people. And Elijah came into mind, preacher came to mind, and then both of them actually connected us to Harris, and that's how we got introduced to Harris. You found out he was a really, really great guy, and he was an accountant. So it all works out. So Angelica and I had found our team, and we're just excited to keep going. As the organization has grown and kind of starting up, I guess, we wanted to do our first mission trip, and that was, I want to say it was about 2 years ago. And the reason I can't remember as much is because I actually wasn't part of it, and I feel like that was one of the challenges that I was kind of thrown at us as well. At that time, I was actually in Honduras, but not with Ashes to Life, and because of like time constraints and the way our days kind of fell, I wasn't able to attend Angelica's Ashes to Life mission trip, which to me, being her partner, being her husband, I felt bad because it's like she's going with a newly, I guess, put organization all by herself, and I can't be there to support her physically and be there present with her. So I think that was one of the challenges that I guess in a way also broke my heart, because I was like, I wanted to be there with her. I could tell she was really stressed. I can tell that, we didn't have the necessary resources. We had a budget, but even through it all, it was like, we don't know how this is gonna work, but it all worked out. God was always with us and with her specifically, because we just trusted in God that He would provide. That's literally what started the whole Backpacks and Blessings. Came back, she was excited. She's like, "Hey, this was my results just as one person. Imagine what we can do with even more resources and with a bigger team." There's like multiple like small wins, and there's obviously big wins as well. Obviously, a big win would be like reaching, new students, new kids that have turned to Christ. Small wins, I don't know, just everything that leads up to it is a small win. From getting the logo to it being the exact image that Angelica had, that's like, consider that something huge. To getting the board members, to people believing in this, people bought in and support us all the time. There's friends, our church that supports us, but even people that we never even met before that have heard about Ashes to Life, and it touches their heart, and they say, yeah, we want to be a part of this as well. And speaking of wins, we believe that your prayer, your continued support through prayer is a huge win for us.
Your support means so much. We're really looking forward for our next mission trip in February of 2026. You can be part of that by giving and praying. And I'm just super excited to see the kids, to see the students again, and to tell them that a lot of people are believing in them, and that we will be there supporting them their entire school journey. So it's wonderful. We are fundraising. We're getting ready for our next Backpacks and Blessings in February of 2026, where we will transform the lives of around 130 students.
It's a huge win for us, and especially for the children. I can think of like one example that one of our supporters does in a way of prayer. So in my day job, I do a lot with patients. Earlier this year, I had this patient that came in, and after we resolved her issue, she shared to me a part of her daily routine that reminds her of our interaction. And every time she is reminded of how I resolved her issue. She remembers Ashes to Life because I had the opportunity to share this organization with her. But every time she remembers Ashes to Life, she prays for it, which is something daily. And that's something big because it is prayer. It is something that may seem, I guess, to other people very small. But again, it's a big win for us.
In 2024, we reached 1 school. This year, 2025, we reached 2 schools, but in 2026, we'll reach 4 schools across 4 villages, and we're just super excited. We will reach around 130 students, and it is amazing because we also will reach their families because their families join us in our Backpacks and Blessings event. We just have so much fun with them. We worship together, we pray together, we give the students the school supplies, so it is going to be amazing. 130 students will receive their school supplies for an entire school year.
So thank you for taking the time to listen to our story, to listen about Ashes to Life, just kind of see the behind the scenes, what kind of goes through our minds or what we've gone through. And we continue to just thank you for supporting us, for praying for us, for joining us in small events that we carry out throughout the year. So please pray for us. Join us in this mission to provide school supplies, to share the gospel. Please continue to support us financially, through prayer groups, through being a part of all the small events that we have going on throughout the year. We will keep y'all posted on what we've got going on with mission trips, with future plans. We're gonna be doing something big in the future, so we'll keep y'all posted.
Today, I just want to ask you to also pray for us. I do believe that prayer is not the least you can do, but it's the most you can do for us. And just have us in your prayers. My name is Angelica.
Once again, my name is Fredy Martinez.
Thank you again so much for listening.
I want to truly thank you for listening to us. God bless.